So I'll start. We'll do 25, and then we'll say part 2 is going on round ball, and then you can
Perfect.
take over driving the ship. Yeah. I will. I think I'll stop the meeting after we can start a new one, just so I don't have a massive file to download as opposed to.
Yeah.
All right. Do you need permit? Do you want to record the Zoom on your end,
Joey? Do you want me to?
It doesn't matter.
I can. I don't need to record this part.
Okay.
But if you want my audio, I can do that. It's
no. I mean, I got
you.
it. We should be fine.
Okay. All right.
Catastrophe strikes. All right, here we go. Am I doing a? Yeah, I'll do the whole show. Here we go. All right, and welcome to Fast Break Breakfast NBA Podcast. My name is Keith Parrish, and I'm joined right now by the hosts of Round Ball Rock Podcast, Golden State Warriors fans, Sean Keane and Joey Devine. Sean, how's it going?
Pretty good. It's not bad.
Yeah. Not bad. That's good to hear. Joey, you're doing all right?
Yeah. I'm doing great. I don't know why my brain stopped working, but listen, here we are.
You guys, our relationship, we've been good friends for a while now, and I don't know, you guys might be two of my best NBA podcast buddy friends. But there's a thing occurring right now that's never occurred before in our relationship. It's that our teams are head to head in the postseason. Like last year's play-in game, that didn't really count. That's not not the playoffs.
In fact, I have seen people mention, you forget that the Memphis Grizzlies and Ja Morant ended the Warriors playoff run last year. And guess what? That's not the playoffs. It doesn't count.
Hey,
those stats disappeared into the ether. There's no records of that.
NBA.com now does have the drop-down tab for play-in stats. So they're there. They're no longer totally lost where I have to Google like the ESPN box score to find out what happened. Also, I do keep hearing a lot of people saying, like, can you imagine if this young Grizzlies team sent Ja Morant and Draymond Green, sent Steph Curry and Draymond Green home? That's right. In that instance, that literally happened last year.
Yes.
So, like, we can chill out a little bit on that.
Yeah, I mean, I guarantee the Warriors could imagine that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think this is like there's this the awkwardness, Joey, that you're feeling. It's this thing is in between us, and we don't know how to overcome it. We're lacked in mortal battle.
I just don't feel like I'm in mortal battle with you, Keith.
What?
Or
John?
I need to
John, you're in mortal battle with, though, right?
I mean, first of all, you guys broke the code by coming on the show.
Yeah, it's true. We did break the code.
The code is.
It's true. There's an unspoken thing that I've said this before.
The code is actually the Navajo language. People don't understand that.
Yeah. The Gary Payton 2 was the Warriors' wind talker. And now Memphis will be able to steal their plays.
Oh man, that's how the tide of the war has turned.
They broke Steve Kerr's impenetrable machine.
Yeah.
And the Enigma machine that is throwing it to the big man at the top of the circle on every offensive play.
While Steph Curry runs around in a circle aimlessly for 30 seconds.
Yeah. I think you guys might have, honestly, he might have lost the translatable code from the front line where they were saying, hey, we should probably guard Ja Morant and make Zaire Williams beat us.
Well, how about do literally anything at all at the end when a guy is scoring 15 points in a row? Want to switch up that coverage?
I feel like
force the ball out of his hands because there's a 20-year-old and a guy with a broken back on the court right now.
I feel like back in the day when LeBron James scored like the final 20 points against the Pistons in a game that I think only had 150 points scored in it total. My memory of that is LeBron James scoring and dunking over 4 people every single time. It was over Tayshaun Prince. It was over Ben Wallace. They were collapsing on him. And LeBron was saying, guess what? I am now the guy. I am the guy.
Yeah.
This arrival. Ja Morant scored in the last 15 points of the game against the Warriors. Was mainly uncontested layups against Jordan Poole.
Yeah, because
while the Grizzlies spread the court and they were like, hey, this year our checking Melton really tight.
Well, Keith, I don't know if you understand basketball, but like it's part of the code is when a guy wants a switch, you just give it to him every single time. That's part of the code.
You don't need it. The guy, as long as the guy's thinking about setting a screen, you should just run to Brandon Clark instead and let Jordan Poole guard him. Don't do anything to get Draymond Green on Ja Morant. Whatever you do. Whatever you do.
This also might have been something like Devin Booker's summer pickup game where they're like, hey, we're not doing double teams here. Okay. No one's coming to open gym for the double teams. I got to work on my craft. You guys didn't. Steve Kerr was Steve Kerr too mad about the broken elbow?
Yes.
To adjust.
Yes,
he was just seeing red the whole time. That was the thing. He couldn't be like, hey, the Timberwolves really screwed up the Grizzlies by double teaming Ja. Let's not try that once.
He also at no point was like, the lineup that had Jonathan Kuminga and Otto Porter in it brought us back in this game. Maybe I should put one of those guys back in. Nope.
Joey, well, you've watched enough basketball, Joey, to know that the code is your starters come back.
Yeah.
It breaks the code if you leave in an Otto Porter.
Actually, but it did feel like maybe with this one guy going to the basket over and over again, and no passes actually going to Jordan Poole, that might have been the time to bring in like a forward to guard the lane a little bit.
Oh, you don't need a forward.
Also, those are Clay's shots. Down the
stretch. Before we go any further, we would be remiss to not do breakfast. It'd be rude of me, even if we are locked in this death battle, to not ask you about your breakfasts. Joey, I feel like I know what you had. Sean, what was your breakfast? Tell me about your breakfast, Sean.
I've just had coffee, but I did do a show last night and I ended up eating a burrito after midnight. And so technically that was my breakfast, but no, I have not. I haven't had
and that's how you entered gremlin mode. That's why you are the way you are right now.
Yeah, they fed me after midnight. I'm staying out of the water for a little while. But yeah, just black coffee.
That's
and water.
That'll get it done. Joey, did you do your usual?
I had a yellow Red Bull and a Camel Light. That's
Have
my
you always
morning
smoked
routine.
Camel Lights?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, no, that's not true. In college, when I first started smoking, that Coen Brothers movie, what was it even called? The man who wasn't there. Yeah. I was a film major and I learned that they smoked Chesterfields on that set because the smoke looked better. So I attempted to smoke Chesterfields at first because I was a loser.
I thought everyone, when they started smoking in college, just started home rolling. It's like you had to start, or maybe you had to know the right ultimate frisbee player to get you into that.
I never wanted to be that guy.
Yeah, they were like, kids don't smoke. I've had, I want to say 5 cigarettes in my life, and 3 of them were like giant tobacco blunts the size of a grown man's thumb. And like, I was like, well, this is what we're doing. This summer is the summer of trying to roll tobacco cigarettes on our own. And getting real dizzy.
I feel like that's a big explanation for why Johnny Depp is the way he is. Just like hands are just full of tobacco from hand-rolled cigarettes all the time.
Yeah. All right. So back to this series, which has been very entertaining through 2 games. The major storyline is we're still waiting for the Dylan Brooks suspension or no suspension. And I think from the Grizzlies side, we're waiting to see if Desmond Bane can lift his arms above his head when they play again on Saturday.
And on the Warriors side,
thank you. That's where I was
going. We're waiting to see if Andre Iguodala has somehow aged backwards in the 2 weeks he's had off? Because that is what Steve Kerr said they're going to try on Ja Morant.
3 days off for the second oldest player of the league is plenty.
Who's missed 2 weeks because his back is broken,
and his neck. I
got a little.
Don't sell him short.
I have a little trivia for both of you guys.
Okay. Yeah.
When's the last time Andre Iguodala has beaten the Grizzlies?
It's got to be before he was on the team.
This go round.
So yeah, I would say
I don't think the Heat beat the Grizzlies, or I don't think he played in that.
When's the last time Andre Iguodala played in a victory over the Memphis Grizzlies?
And also
2019.
I was going to say I don't think they beat the Grizzlies in 2019 because they would always go to Memphis and either Steph Curry or Kevin Durant would get ejected from the game. I'm going to say 2017.
Joey, you got it. 2017 is the last time Andre Iguodala has played a game against the Grizzlies and his team won. Andre Iguodala. Oh, here's the other one, by the way. So if Dillon Brooks plays, famously at the trade deadline 2 years ago, where Andre Iguodala was sitting out for the Grizzlies because he didn't want to be part of whatever we have going on, which is just, lots of enjoyable basketball, fun, exceeding expectations and winning. He had no part for that. Dillon Brooks at the trade deadline says, we want to trade him and we want to get rid of him. And then I want to show him what Memphis basketball is all about. Since that time, actually in his career, Andre Iguodala averages 2 points per game against Dillon Brooks. And in the last two matchups where they've played each other since Dillon called him out, Dillon averages 24 points per game and the Grizzlies are 2-0. So we're kind of hoping from a Grizzlies side that Andre
the numbers are saying
he has been dominant. He gets very fired up, but of course Dillon was a little bit too fired up last game. And
you think
might not be able to play.
You think he was too fired up?
A little fired up.
I don't know.
A little hot.
A little hot. He was struggling.
He had a spring in his step.
He had a swing.
It's funny too because it's a funny feud because it feels very one-sided, and it almost seems like Iguodala's real plan that whole time was to get himself a massive contract for the next season, which he did.
It worked out
crazily enough.
Absolutely worked out for him. Yeah.
But it's like, and it's like feuding with someone's dad at this point.
But he is apparently going to suit up and try to guard Ja.
Yeah, that's the best choice, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
A 38-year-old man.
I want more people,
the
generation of Draymond, Clay, and Iggy playing. That's my personal opinion. These are the guys who beat the Grizzlies the last time these two teams faced off in the playoffs in 2015. I want more of those guys on the court. So I mean,
maybe they'll sign Andrew Bogut.
They could.
Zaza Pachulia is in the front office right now, and he looks just as old as he did in 2016.
When Zaza Pachulia is walking around like the Warriors complex, is he like sticking his foot underneath like the ticket salespeople?
It's actually a thing people don't understand. That's actually what happened to James Wiseman.
James Wiseman was reaching for a.
They thought he was. He was gonna be healthy. Every 2 weeks, he's like, he's finally healthy. And then he sees Zaza Pachulia and he gets hurt. He just looks at him.
He's reaching for a vitamin water off the top shelf. And Zaza slaps his foot underneath him. Yeah.
Wiseman would go to sit on the bench just in his normal seat, and Zaza would slide into his landing area. And it was really tough on his.
So I don't know if this series is going to continue being violent as it's been violent. I mean, as far as it's been the ugly, the dirty Dillon play, the Draymond flagrant, we're calling it a 1.5 in or the flagrant 1+1.
Well, I've been calling it flagrant ones. Yeah.
Two flagrant ones at the same time.
Ones.
Right. And I don't know if they're going to continue this level of aggression, or if the Warriors are coming to look maybe in, I don't know, like a little retaliation. I'm not sure who the refs are going to send in to clean this up. I do have some issue.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I'll say I do have some issue with some people who've weighed in from basketball past. Like, and I'm not talking about the way past. I'm talking about the very recent.
Are you talking about Richard Jefferson?
Not
Are you talking about Kendrick Perkins?
What did Richard Jefferson say?
They were all, and Matt Barnes, Kendrick Perkins, and Richard Jefferson were all like, yeah, that's a dirty play. He broke the code. And it's like, all three of you guys, I have seen push someone out of the air before.
I believe when hey, the only person I want to hear talking about the code is Matt Barnes.
Well, and Matt Barnes,
he knows he just like, that's something I would do.
That was Matt Barnes. It was funny. He was like, and trust me when I say this, I had a lot of flagrant fouls, and I wouldn't have fouled a guy like that.
So no, the person who I saw weigh in was Quincy Pondexter.
Oh yeah, I did see this.
Quincy Pondexter says our grit and grind Grizzlies would have been outlawed by the NBA. First of all, Quincy saying our grit and grind Grizzlies upsets me as a Grizzlies fan.
Sure.
That feels like
wasn't he injured
valor.
The entire time?
He was on the team. The only beef I remember Quincy Pondexter getting into was with his head coach, Dave Yeager. he swore at Dave Yeager, and then Yeager benched him. That's about it. Also, like the grit and grind Grizzlies back then, Zebo got suspended for a game 7 against the Thunder for shoving a guy, like not punching a guy, just like a shove. Tony Allen got suspended a game for accidentally kicking Chris Paul. Like we're talking about the very recent past, where these things were already outlawed, where people got suspended for stepping on the court. It was not a different, more violent sport 8 years ago. No, it was still the same. Hey, you get suspended for everything.
Literally the only rule that's really changed is they explicitly made the Zaza play a flagrant.
Yes.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, and they have started. It's been like at least 5 years where now if you wind up and hit a guy in the head, even if quote unquote it's like a hard foul, you're going for the ball. It doesn't matter anymore. Those are at least okay. Those are all flagrant fouls, but it's not like it's a wildly different game. It's not like the Grizzlies were trying to fight lots of people.
Right.
Like, they didn't have any brawls. There were no. I mean. David Stern got rid of fighting, okay?
He did. Yeah.
And there's no
Blake
more.
Griffin did like 2-arm tackle Zebo at one point, didn't he?
They got
remembering that correctly?
Well, they would tussle, and Randolph like wrestled him to the ground once. Do you remember that?
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking of.
There's an audio clip that I use for Grits and Grinds in my opening, where it's Ralph Lawler, from the Clippers broadcast.
Lawler's Law, yeah.
He says something to the effect of like Griffin and Zebo go to the ground, and then he yells, "Oh, he's digging the elbow in," which is Zebo kind of horse collaring him, and Blake's like flailing and screaming. Again, a great moment, but as much I think the Zebo's reputation. Possibly prevented a lot of on-court altercations where no one wanted to fight Zebo. So
it's so bizarre that these guys are doing back in the day when literally their careers ended 4 years ago.
That's what I'm saying. Like Quincy doing it back in the day. It's like, dude, you are younger than I am.
Yeah. Quincy Pondexter was on that New Orleans Pelicans team that the Warriors beat, I believe. Yeah.
He just had he had like a botched knee surgery, right?
Right. He also had like 2 okay NBA seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I will say, if you want to go down a Google rabbit hole, and maybe this means Quincy does have some authority to speak on this kind of stuff. Quincy Pondexter's father was a prison correction officer named Bone Crusher.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
And you can Google Bone Crusher Pondexter, and there are a lot of articles.
I would also recommend everybody look at Quincy Pondexter's Wikipedia photo where he is on the Memphis Grizzlies wearing a protective mask on his face. And he looks like a villain. He looks like one of Bane's henchmen.
Yeah, not the Bane who broke Batman's back. The Bane who has a current broken back.
Yeah.
No, I got that backwards.
He's gonna get in the pit.
Our current. Oh, the irony! Our Bane has a broken back. I want to know from you guys who. All right, so maybe this series has been a little bit heated. But I want to know, are there any Grizzlies players that you currently are really enjoying? Like, are there any who's your favorite Grizzlies character?
Oh, I like Brandon Clark. I mean, I'm disqualifying Jaw just because.
Sure,
obviously,
it's like saying your favorite part of Christmas is Santa Claus. Brandon Clark. I really I weirdly saw him at Gonzaga a decent amount, just like they're on television in the Bay Area a lot more. And oh no, I guess in Los Angeles. Anyway, Gonzaga was just on TV. And then last year, I didn't really understand what happened to him, and he stopped playing, and now he's totally awesome again. And it seems like maybe he has stopped ever shooting threes. Like maybe he didn't really have that skill exactly. Basically. But like, what a fun player.
Yeah. He also has a California surfer voice, which catches you off guard when you hear.
Oh, I don't think I've ever heard him talk.
He's actually on the low post on Thursday, and it isn't as pronounced as it sometimes is. But it's always surprises me. It's not what I expect to hear. Joey, who's your favorite character on this?
I love all the Grizzlies. Like,
they're super fun.
I know. I think I watch basketball just in a very different way than most people do, because I never really. I hate the players already that I hate. Does that make sense? Like, I never come away from a playoff series being like, I hate that guy. Like, the only Grizzly I didn't like before is Dylan Brooks, and I still don't like him.
Right.
But it wasn't for this. It was just like,
it's just I think he's kind of bad. Yeah.
No, yeah, he's annoying. I mean, I would assume from an outsider perspective, he's annoying. Like, lots of Grizzlies fans don't like him. I mean, there's some of that where he misses more shots than almost any other player. And a lot of people, they can't overcome that. And I recognize that. Like,
for me, my take on Dylan Brooks is just like, has always just been like, oh, this guy's a sixth man who thinks he's the second best player on the team. Like, it's gonna be a detriment to Ja, the coolest player since Penny Hardaway or Allen Iverson, that this guy thinks he's the second best player on this team. That's just my Dylan Brooks take. But I find these 6 minutes I get of John Conchar every game to be a gift, especially because they come at the same time as the Jonathan Kuminga minutes usually. And it's just like Christmas for Joey, like just guys I love. Oh, and Melton's out there and Conchar. And
it was
all I need is some Moses Moody out there too, and it'll be like New Year's Eve.
I kind of felt like we needed Moses Moody in game 2. There were moments where like Kuminga and Zaire Williams were going one-on-one with each other.
Yeah.
And I remember just watching it being like, this is the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like both of these teams, like the Warriors feel like they can win a title this year. The Grizzlies want to make it to the finals. And it's like, we're doing Zaire Williams against Jonathan Kuminga. And it was wild. With Dylan Brooks ejected, we got the Conchar minutes. We had Melton. Again, that was a wild basketball game in the sense that like, it wasn't any of the Grizzlies preferred players. It felt like at times. But I do think they're pretty likable. Like, I'm in a weird spot where I know like the worm turned against the Warriors kind of nationally to some degree, where when KD joined up, everyone's like, oh, I'm tired of the Warriors.
To be honest, it had turned the year before.
See, like, I don't feel like, I don't know. I still always like, I love Steph Curry, and I assume like, how can you not like Steph Curry? He's awesome. Right. And like, everyone likes Klay Thompson, and I know people dislike Draymond Green, but like, he's pretty awesome. It's annoying to hear him like speak as if he's not a pretty dirty player, because like, hey, of the flagrant 2 fouls, Draymond's, I think, had the most intent. Like, you don't accidentally grab a jersey. So like, don't talk to me, Draymond, about the activities that happened. But removed from that, I love watching him play basketball. Like, adore watching him play basketball. I also have an affinity for guys who are bad at scoring but are good at other things, and that's absolutely Draymond Green's game. So like, the entire Warriors team is like incredibly enjoyable to me. And so like, I think that makes it maybe That's why people are so excited about it. It also has switched it where I see people thinking that the league is like wants the Grizzlies to win,
which is so weird. Well, the other thing is, okay, so everybody always freaks out about Scott Foster. Like every one of the fan bases
Not me,
thinks
baby.
that Scott Foster's after them.
Yeah,
and
the Grizzlies are 7-0 when Scott Foster refs against the spread. Did you know that?
I know when Scott Foster shows up, the Grizzlies win.
I mean, the Warriors had won 7 Scott Foster games in a row and covered the spread in all those games. So it was like, it's just
well, Scott Foster did the play-in game last year. And I thought that was like there was no chance the Grizzlies were going to win because I talked to the whistleblower guy when he was on the show last year. I was like, hey, if there's a play-in game in the future and it's Warriors versus Grizzlies, because that was like clearly on the standings, you could see it coming. Like it's possible. This is a definite scenario. I'm like, who is he? I was like, who would the league
Scott
send
Foster
to that
on?
game?
Yeah.
And Tim Livingston says, well, it's going to be Scott Foster and then whoever Scott Foster's buddies are. So then when it ended up being Scott Foster, I was like, oh my God. But then the Grizzlies won. So that, I don't know if that was a blow.
They had set it up. Just Draymond blew that last shot. Well, like Scott Foster thought the fix was in.
I mean, also, the Grizzlies were playing. They were playing Grayson Allen and Xavier Tillman in overtime because of foul trouble. So maybe, Scott did all he could.
But the Warriors were also playing Kent Bazemore. All right. Anyway,
what word would you guys use to describe Taylor Jenkins' beard?
So I would say Ewok.
I was going to say Jim Henson-esque. Yeah.
but I would.
Sean?
You frozen, Sean?
Sean froze. Oh no.
I don't know what's going on with me.
Oh, here you froze.
All right, sorry.
You want to hop in again after Jim Henson? Joey said Jim Henson.
Jim Henson, yeah. Looking at the way his hair and beard are, I get the sense that hair just grows equally on his entire skull, and he just shaves around it on like the forehead and the cheeks. That's the feeling I get.
What kind of preparation does that take? I mean, it's not a natural beard.
No.
Drew McGarry wrote about it. He said he thought it looked glued on. I've always called it video game beard or Tron beard.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the opening of the 2010 film Tron when it's Jeff Bridges animated.
There's also kind of something. It reminds me of when you see a tennis ball that's not the normal tennis ball color. You know, one of those really fuzzy orange tennis balls. That's also kind of what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
What do y'all think? Hang on. As the conversation dies, where are we at on time? Okay. Well, so if Taylor Jenkins and his beard can settle on, I think these. Settle on the rotations that I think most Grizzlies fans have been asking for. We're still a little perplexed by the Xavier Tillman affinity, although Xavier Tillman was awesome in game 2. I think Grizzlies fans feel pretty optimistic. Again, if Bane can lift his hands over his head. What are the things that you guys feel from the Warriors side would make you feel a little more optimistic about the rest of the series? Are there any specific adjustments that you're hoping for?
I would like just some maybe strategy at the end of the games on defense a little bit, but I just think Klay Thompson needs to calm down. Like I think he just feels like he's playing as our friend John Williams coined this term. He's playing too horny out there, where he's like just very, very eager to shoot, very, very eager to run without dribbling in crucial moments. And
that entire possession that culminated in the travel, hilarious.
Yeah,
one of the least poised final possessions from a team with lots of championship experience.
Lots of veterans against a 20-year-old and a guy with a broken back.
Yeah. It was a 23-year-old with a broken back, a 23-year-old prone to turnovers, a 20-year-old, and then Ja Morant, and then the ancient 25-year-old Washington State surfer himself, Brandon Clark.
Well, it was especially weird too because like the whole game, they were just letting them get layups that every once in a while DeAnthony Melton would block. Like it's not like it was happening every game, but it was like DeAnthony Melton blocked the last one, and then it was like they were like, "Oh my God, big time rim protectors in, can't go to the basket."
Well, also they got the rebound after that block too. That was the thing. Like I misremembered it watching it, and then watching it again, I was like, "Oh, they just missed another shot after that."
How did in the final sequence there was I thought it was an offensive foul or a loose ball foul on Zaire Williams where he shoved Draymond to get an offensive rebound, and then I thought the foul on Draymond on a similar offensive rebound where he knocked over Ja Morant. I thought those were both incorrect calls that benefited the Grizzlies. The last 2-minute report came through, said no, we did it right.
Okay.
You feeling okay about that? I was surprised.
Here's my whole take on how the series has gone so far is I expected it to be 1-1. I expect it to be 2-2 after going to Chase. The Grizzlies are absolutely getting one in Chase. But as a Golden State Warrior fan, I'm just not that. To me, it felt like the Warriors won the game they should have lost and lost the game they should have won.
Yeah.
So I feel okay. Like, I don't know.
For me. Yeah.
Like the Warriors aren't going to shoot 14% from 3 again. Like the Grizzlies are playing really good defense, but they still have Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. I just don't expect that to happen again. But they have to. The thing I want to see is them guard Ja Morant. That's the number one thing I would like to see for them to win this series.
I think you're going to need to
playing defense against Ja Morant.
Yeah, because they managed to hold the non-Ja Grizzlies to like 50 something points.
Oh yeah, and also I mean the Grizzlies shot 39% for the game. The Grizzlies in the first 2 games have been beaten on the offensive glass and on second chance points by the Warriors. Weird. So it's all been very, very strange. I think
big man Andrew Wiggins, they weren't prepared for Andrew Wiggins to be a rebounding machine apparently, and neither was I.
Yeah, Karl Anthony Towns was holding him back. His real place was at the pivot.
Yeah,
all these years.
Well, Sean and Joey, thanks a bunch for coming on. Listeners, we're gonna do more of this over on the Round Ball Rock podcast. Part 2 of this discussion will be over there, so make sure you check out Round Ball Rock today. Sean and Joey, it's a pleasure as always. I think it's going to be an awesome series, and I look forward
to already has been
having you guys on. Yeah, man, it's been great. Anyway, we'll talk to you soon. All right, I'm gonna stop. So
you want to leave and invite us again?
Yeah. Is that easy for you to record all the parts?
Yeah.
Through Zoom?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's fine.
So I'll end this and then start a new one. All right.
Okay.
See ya.